And get started for you guys tonight. I know it's 6 o'clock. You guys probably want to be able to go home too. So I'm Mrs. Escalera, I'm one of the counselors here, and we have Miss Lyle and Miss Heinlein back there, one of our counselors. We also have Mrs. White that is back there. She teaches our English CCP. So if you are thinking of taking college classes here in our building with the English classes for next school year, she would be your teacher. So we always like for people to see faces that they might recognize in the building. And then I think our other two teachers, if they don't have a parent conference, they might be able to stop in too for our math and for our government. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up. And Mrs. Davison is here. She's going to record the video for us so we can post it to our website. So basically our CCP program runs by the state requirements. Students can earn college credit for free. And they can have the college credits for free as long as they meet eligibility at the college that they want to attend, which you will hear more from that about the state presentation here. How our school works it is, a lot of schools will say you have to do the letter of intent by April 1st to let them know that you're thinking of participating in CCP. We know our students come from so many different school districts that we are including it on our final forms. So when you fill out your final forms, you'll have a box to opt out of it if you don't want your child to participate. And the reason we do that is because sometimes our classes aren't offered until school year starts. So the classes that we have ahead of time here at Pioneer that we start to have students sign up for next school year is our English class and our government class, which is a political science. So students can earn 6 college credits with the English track. They can take English Comp 1010 and 1030. So it's Comp 1 and Comp 2 with Miss White. And then they have that 6 credits of college credit, which equals 2 high school credits if they do both parts. And then they have the government part, which is the first half of the year. And that is where they can earn 3 college credits, 1 high school credit for government. And then the second half of that year is economics and the financial literacy of high school credit only that they can have for graduation requirements. So we usually sign up for that in March. So students will have an opportunity here at Pioneer. We work closely with NC State since they're like in our backyard, we work closely with them, but your child can choose to go to any college as long as they meet the requirements for that college. So again, we work closely with NC State. So they will come out here in March and they will offer the AccuPlacer test, which is a test that's a requirement in order to be accepted into an English or a math class. And you're going to hear later on about the different requirements for different classes. So sometimes our students will take the AccuPlacer test and they will find out like, oh, I qualified. And they think that they're good for the English class. But maybe they only had the score for the reading part, but they didn't have the writing part. So then we have to make sure that they realize, nope, you have to score in both areas, which we will go over that with them to see if they qualify in that class. The math classes, Mrs. Bowerdick walked in here, she's back there. She teaches our college algebra and trigonometry, which we call it the high school level pre-calc. And then she also teaches our statistics class. So students, if they take the pre-calc series of the college algebra and trigonometry, can earn 8 college credits. If they take the statistics track, based on what kind of field they want to go into in their career, a lot of the health fields and business track take statistics. They would then earn 3 college credits, and it's the last half of the school year. So it's like their spring semester for the college. And for students to qualify for that, they have to have the reading and the math score on the test. The AccuPlacer tests in 3 areas. It tests the reading, writing, and math. For government, they only need to qualify in one of those areas to take a government class. And again, I know it can be a lot and it's overwhelming, so we will definitely walk your students through it. If they sign up for the AccuPlacer in March, there will be announcements. We typically do an all-call letting you guys know as parents to, hey, this test is going to be offered. And sometimes it's a great reminder because sometimes the kids are like, oh yeah, I decide not to, but you don't know that as a parent. And you're like, wait a second, you didn't take the opportunity to take that class? So we always want to make sure you guys are aware of our time frame of when we're offering that test. So there'll be an all-call to you guys. The students will get an email. There'll be announcements letting them know that those class sign-ups will be happening. And then the student will, if they qualify, we will place them in that class. If they choose after they qualify that they do not want to be part of that CCP route, we usually have the parent, well, we always have the parent, sign a form saying that they do not want their child to do CCP. And the reason we have them, you guys as parents, sign that form is because at NC State, they can have a tuition freedom scholarship possibility where they can go up to 64 credit hours for free. So if your student doesn't take that CCP option for that scholarship, which is like 9 credit hours to qualify as a high school student, then they miss that monetary money possibility. So we always like to have parents sign off that they're choosing their child not to take the CCP route. Mrs. Hager just walked in. She teaches our political science. So if you are thinking of taking the government class, that is your teacher for that class. And a lot of our students will take as many as they can possibly get. The state does say that there's a minimum per year that a student can take CCP for free, which Rebecca will go over that too with the state presentation. Are there questions so far? I know I'm throwing a lot of information out there. And again, we will walk your students through it. I remember sitting in a meeting like this with my dad, and my dad just looked at me and said, I don't understand anything they just said. So I want to make sure you guys are understanding too. If you have questions, feel free to ask us. We are always available to answer any questions about College Credit Plus. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rebecca, and she's going to give you the state presentation. And then she's here from NC State also to talk about their pathway for CCP. We were supposed to have Ohio State Mansell come, but someone got ill, so they did leave information there. The big thing I can only stress to you is to make sure whatever college your child wants to attend for College Credit Plus, make sure you're looking at their deadlines to sign up. Make sure you're following any of their testing procedures, because Ohio State Mansell is strict on their time frames for their deadlines, so you want to make sure you're following all those guidelines. Okay.
Well, welcome everybody to the information night for College Credit Plus. You'll hear that referred to as CCP throughout the presentation. My name is Rebecca. I am a CCP advisor with North Central State College. Excuse me. I do work very closely with Pioneer when it comes to their students and their CCP journey. We also have a few other advisors at North Central State College, though, that will that they're available for your students, and they also work with individual schools as well. So if your student is attending Pioneer and a different high school, they might be working with me and they might be working with another advisor. But we all have the same information. We work very closely together. So they're never left in the dark. We're with them from the beginning of their process to the end of graduation for them with any kind of question that they might have, and getting them registered and helping them through that process. And like it was mentioned, it is a lot of information tonight. So I'm going to try to move through the slides kind of quickly. I don't want to bore you or give you too much information. So if you kind of start to gather some questions that you guys want to go over with me, I'll be available to answer some questions at the end for you. So I don't want to keep you guys too long. We'll kind of start going through the process. So again, College Credit Plus, you'll hear referred to as CCP. And this is the presentation from the state. So what is College Credit Plus? College Credit Plus is Ohio's dual credit program enrollment for students. So it's a program where students can earn high school and college credit at the same time. Ohio residents in grades 7 through 12 that are enrolled at public school, private school, or even homeschool can participate. And it will take a variety of courses at any public and participating private college schools in Ohio. So Ohio has this available where any public Ohio college has CCP available, and there are still some participating private colleges. Students that participate in CCP can attend CCP courses at multiple colleges. They are not restricted to taking courses at just one. They can do that at multiple throughout their process, and courses can be held at high schools. They can be held at the college campuses, and they can also be held online. Not every high school offers courses at their campus. Pioneer is a facility that does allow students to take CCP courses here, though, as well. So how can students participate? We're going to go over eligibility for that. So students eligible for the College Credit Plus program if the student meets any of the following criteria. So they can meet criteria based on remediation-free scores on one of the standardized assessment tests, such as the ACT and the AccuPlacer. We can go over AccuPlacer testing and information later. They can also meet eligibility if they have a cumulative unweighted high school grade point average of at least 3.0. And they could also meet eligibility if they have a cumulative unweighted high school grade point average of at least 2.75 through 2.99, and they've received an A or a B grade in a relevant high school course. Each individual college would determine what that relevant course would be. And then students, you don't have to go back to that. Each student only has to meet one of those criteria. They do not have to meet all three of those. So students must apply for admission to each institution. So if they choose to go to North Central and OSU, they would apply to both North Central State College and OSU and have to meet those restrictions and deadlines for each institution. Admission is reviewed per the requirements of the college or the university, and students would contact the college to find those specific information on their eligibility. College applications include the permission slip for mature content and a questionnaire about emotional maturity. And for us, that is available when students create their account with us and start that application process. They would apply through the application, and then there is a permission slip that would need to be completed along with a questionnaire. And colleges ultimately have the final decision on student admission.
One big thing about that part is our students, we tell them over and over again that there's 4 parts to the actual application. There's creating the login, there's doing the CCP application, and then there's the 2 parts of the permission slip and the student survey or questionnaire. And a lot of times students are like, I did it, but then we find out, nope, you didn't complete the last 2 parts. You didn't do the permission slip or the questionnaire, which we can't then have them register. The college can't register them if they don't have those final 2 parts.
Yes.
So,
yes, a lot of students will come to us and say, I submitted my application, they've met eligibility either with their grades, their GPA, or their test scores. They're like, I'm ready to go, and we'll go in and go, you still need to do the questionnaire and the permission slip. And it's for us, they are logging back into that account that they created, and then it kind of slows down that process if they don't have that completed. When they complete the application, students might forget their login, because that's unique to them, that's what they created. We don't issue that login information to them. I mean, we have access to reset that, but yes, it can slow down that process for them, but it's part of that application process. And, excuse me. So, course registration, the college that they are attending will discuss course options with the student based on assessment scores, if there's any prerequisites that are required and any other requirements for those courses. Some of the courses, if a student is CCP eligible, those courses would automatically be available to those students. There's additional courses such as the English composition, math courses, and some science courses that require additional test score requirements, and that's information that as the student moves through their CCP journey, we go over that with them and guide them through that process. School counselors can help students understand graduation requirements and CCP course substitutions. So ultimately, with CCP students, we are still goal-oriented, that their focus is their high school graduation and making sure that they stay on track with that and that they're meeting those requirements. So it's always encouraged when they're working with us directly that they still stay in contact with their school counselors to make sure that they're still meeting their high school graduation requirements with any courses that they might be taking with us. High schools and colleges develop 15 and 30 credit hour pathways to help you determine your plan, and those are specific to those institutions. In North Central State College, we have those, and I can kind of go over those with you a little bit later. Students must complete their first 15 credit hours in the Level 1 course, which would include courses that are transferable, courses in IT, computer science, anatomy, and physiology and foreign language, courses that are part of a technical certificate, courses that are part of a 15 or 30 credit pathway, and courses in study skills, academic, or career success. And when we're working with students, we are guiding them through which courses would meet that eligibility so that they're staying on track with that. There are courses that are offered at institutes that are not covered under CCP. Those courses would be private applied courses with one-on-one instruction, courses with high fees, courses that you would study abroad, physical education courses, pass-fail grade courses, and the remedial courses and sectarian and religious courses are not covered under CCP. How many classes can students take? Students may be enrolled in up to 30 credit hours per year, and the maximum number of college credits that a student can complete while participating in the program is a total of 120 credit hours. If a student enrolls in more than 30 credit hours for the year, they can either drop that course prior to the start of it or within the window of dropping that course without having a penalty to them, and then, or they could choose to take the course and then they would pay for that entire course at the college's standard rate. So grades for CCP, the final grades earned in the college course are the same grade that will be on their high school transcript. CCP course grades will be factored into their high school and their college GPAs. So any course that they're taking under CCP is affecting their overall GPA at their high school level and at their college level. They have now a transcript with that college that they can carry with them if they choose to transfer those credits to another college. Those credits also will impact and show up on their high school transcript as well and impact their GPA. No, that you're fine. So selective service, male students who are at least 18 years of age and Ohio residents are required to be registered with the selective service system. Students are required to provide their selective service number to the public college or university within 30 days of their 18th birthday, and failure to do so, to submit that number will result in a student not being considered a CCP participant for that semester or that term. And with us, when a student is completing their application, there is a box in that application process mentioning this, if they have signed up, if they're 18, things like that. And usually it's a yes or no, and then they can move on from that. So what's the difference between high school and college courses? So for students at the high school level, when it comes to study time, they're typically maybe required, homework would range from 1 to 3 hours per day. At the college level, you are looking at potentially 2 to 3 hours of extra studying and reading per credit hour. And then knowledge acquisition, information provided mostly in the class, assignments to follow. What was covered would be at your high school level. At the college level, students are expected to go ahead and work in advance and prepare themselves for each lesson as they approach. And at the high school level, tests are typically given weekly or at the end of each unit, so they are seeing more tests and quizzes at that high school level, whereas at the college level, they are less frequent and they would cover more material, so that's impacting their grade greater than if they had multiple tests and quizzes over the time. So it goes over a little bit more information with that. So their grades in high school, again, they would have numerous quizzes, tests, homework assignments that are impacting those grades. Where at the college level, they're having fewer assignments and fewer tests that are impacting their grades. So they have, at the high school level, they might have a little more opportunity with their assignments and things to bring up any kind of grade that they would need to. And then, so for the role of parents and guardians at the high school level, guardians advocate for their students, they are involved, and they work closely with the teachers and the counselors. At the college level, if you are a CCP student, then those students are more responsible for what they are doing at the college level, and guardians then act as more of a support and mentor. And accommodations at high school, parents and students work with high school staff to determine what assistance and accommodations can be made for students with IEPs or 504 plans. At the college level, students must work directly with college staff to determine if accommodations are needed for IEPs and 504 plans that may or may not be included in the discussions. So students at the college level are protected under FERPA. So when we work with students, we are working with them directly. So when it comes to giving out student information, the grades that they have, the courses that they're taking, students are protected under FERPA. They are considered a college student, so we are working with them directly.
So parents can call and ask for grades.
Yes. Your student can give you those grades, and we do have forms that parents and students can fill out, but typically, if we don't have, if we don't have that form on file, the student's information we would not be able to give out to parents. So what does it mean to be college ready? Being college ready is more than just being academically ready. Students need to consider emotional and social transition and college expectations, and they need to consider time management and organizational skills. What does their schedule look like at the high school level? What does it look like outside? Are they working? Are they in athletics? Things like that. What kind of time do they have to devote to those courses? So students can earn high school and college credit at the same time. As mentioned before, they can get a head start on their career planning and earn degrees or certificates. So that means that once they enter that college field, they are putting in less time than they normally would have once they've completed CCP courses. And they can earn experience college, students can experience college early to understand the expectations of college life. And it also allows students to save on tuition and textbook costs. And at North Central, there's other ways for students to save on that as well as a CCP student with the Tuition Freedom Scholarship that we can talk about a little later. So what are the consequences of underperforming for CCP students? Families may be asked to reimburse courses if the student does not earn a passing grade in their course, or if the student withdraws after the non-fault deadline at the college. North Central State College offers students a drop window of 14 days from the time that that class begins. And so if they decide that it's not a good fit for them, they don't have to give us a reason, they have that 14-day window, they can drop that. It will not impact their transcript, it doesn't show up at all, it doesn't impact their GPA, and they wouldn't financially be responsible for that course. And then the students withdraw after the, I already said that, I'm sorry. So students, when the consequences for underperforming, college credit plus probation is a thing. So a student will be placed on CCP probation if they are less than a cumulative 2.0 GPA in CCP courses, or if they withdraw from 2 or more courses in one academic year. And that withdrawal period is after that 14-day window. So within that 14-day window, if they dropped 4 courses, they are not put under probation. It is after that window when they withdraw. Then those courses will impact their GPA and their transcript, and they could potentially be put onto probation. So while on CCP probation, the student may only enroll in one CCP course for 1 term, and they may not enroll in a college course in the same subject in which they did not receive that passing grade. And if students on CCP probation do not increase, their CCP GPA to a 2.0 or above during that probation term, then they will be placed on CCP dismissal. So what that means is, in the fall, if they're placed, after the fall, they're placed on probation, and they have the spring semester, they're allowed to take 1 course during that time, and then that's the semester that they have to bring up that GPA. So college credit plus dismissal, if a student does not raise their grade during the probation term, then they are dismissed from CCP. While on CCP dismissal, students may not enroll in any CCP courses, and a student can request to be an appeal to be reinstated into the program, and they would do that through the college.
One of the advantages of having the CCP classes in Pioneer building is you are on a Pioneer schedule. So, and they get to see the teachers every day versus if they went on campus, they might see them twice or 3 times a week. So that's kind of a nice advantage if a student does take an opportunity of taking like the English, the math, the government in our building, because then they can have access to that teacher whenever school's open.
Yes. Yep, they have that setting with their peers still. which might be that comfort level for them, so where if they come to campus, they could be in a classroom with a variety of people, ages. And then like mentioned, they might not have access to the professor that they are used to at that high school level. So appeals for underperformance, CCP probation, students may appeal to take a course in the same subject in which they previously earned a non-passing grade or received no credit. CCP dismissal, within 5 days of being dismissed, the student may submit an appeal to the secondary school to appeal CCP dismissal, or the student may appeal at the end of the CCP dismissal semester. And each school district must have a policy describing that process for appeals. So after high school graduation, grades earned in CCP will remain on a student's college transcript permanently. So if students fail or withdraw often, future financial aid may be also impacted negatively. And then the satisfactory academic progress is a requirement for financial aid, and standards vary by institution. So that's something to consider. So what are the expenses to you for College Credit Plus? Families and students can choose to self-pay for college courses at the standard rate of the institution, pay for fees, and pay for textbooks. Students and families should arrange a plan for payment with the college or university. Students can also choose to earn college credit and high school credit or only college credit. Students must inform the school of their choice of credit for courses. And then there's option B, which is kind of the default. This is the standard option for our CCP students. All college course tuition fees and textbooks will be paid by the state of Ohio, supported by the school's foundation funds and the college funds, and students will earn college credit and high school credit. So what that means is if they're CCP eligible and they are within their guidelines, they're earning those credits at no cost to them. Students also are not responsible for paying for those textbooks as well.
Unless they fail.
Correct. If they enter into that previously mentioned, students could be very responsible for those, and then their textbooks as well. So what support services are available for students? Students receive support from both their high school and college. High school counselors continue to provide assistance to all College Credit Plus students. College advisors provide course selection assistance. Colleges must provide the same academic supports to CCP students, such as tutoring, library access, advising, and so on. Our CCP students work very closely with their advisors, and we do offer all of those things. We have a tutoring center that they have access to. They don't have to come out to our main campus to utilize that tutoring center. So student athletic eligibility. So student athletes should learn the Ohio High School Athletic Association requirements, and that any courses that they take in the summer for CCP do not apply to that athletic eligibility. It would be fall and spring. Will the course credits transfer? So certain general education and technical courses will transfer, especially from one Ohio public college to another Ohio public college. Students can check with the colleges to confirm transferability, and then there is a website that Ohio has offered for students to go and look through that information to see how credits will transfer as well. So what are the deadlines? As mentioned, there is a letter of intent. The deadline for that is April 1st. That needs to be completed and returned. However, as mentioned, Pioneer is lenient on that deadline. That's at each school's discretion. Some schools are very firm on that deadline and don't accept it after. Other schools are very lenient and will allow that. For ACT and SAT testing, it's encouraged for students to test early so that they meet college and university admission deadlines. In those, you would just need to check with that institute on those deadlines. And then semester deadlines. Summer semesters deadlines will be earlier as classes usually start in May. And again, you would just check with the college for each semester deadlines. So what are the next steps for the students? They would contact the college and discuss assessment testing if it's a requirement. They would need to complete the letter of intent to participate. Then they would need to apply for admissions to the college. And then they would need to meet with their school counselor to discuss scheduling and graduation requirements. So anytime a student wants to be a CCP student, they need to apply to that institution that they're choosing to attend. And then questions? Well, I'm going to also go over some North Central State College information. My slideshow is a lot shorter. And then I will kind of go over the handout that I passed around earlier. Did everybody get one of these? I have more.
There's some.
Actually, one of those. There you go. Yeah. Okay, so North Central State College CCP enrollment. Sorry. This page is just kind of going over some information to keep in mind what North Central State can offer to the students, accessibility to their professors, their advisors, or coaches. You might hear both of those terms interchangeably. And they have support and accessibility to their schedules. We offer scholarships and grants and succeed in your chosen path. If they're transferring those credits and things like that, they can earn field experience, student life, and campus events. So as a CCP student, even if they are high school students, they would now be a college student as well, so they have access to any of the college events that we have on campus like a traditional student. And then career and alumni services. So, CCP with North Central State College. This is a quick breakdown of what students would need to do to get started into the CCP program. They would first need to apply through the college. Our website for our CCP is ncstatecollege.edu/CCP. And then we do have deadlines for our semesters. Some institutes are a lot stricter. With our students, we tend to be a little bit more flexible when we can for them. Once they've applied to the college, again, it's the application, the questionnaire, and the permission slip all at the same time. Once they've completed those, they would then contact their high school counselor and notify them that we need their transcript sent. They don't need to send us an official transcript. Most of the school counselors are aware of that and how to contact us to get those sent over. And then they would meet admission and CCP eligibility. So once a student has applied to us, they've completed their questionnaire and their permission slip, and we have received their transcript, then we would be in communication. The students would reach out to us to let us know that they've applied, they've submitted their transcript, and then we could go over CCP eligibility with them. And then we would work with them to build their plan, and they would start orientation and the course registration. Orientation is an online platform for them that they can work through. It's not very long at all. It just kind of helps introduce them and answer questions that they might have. So our Tuition Freedom Scholarship. This is specific to North Central State College. It is offered to our CCP students should they meet eligibility for it. We have a 32-hour Tuition Freedom Scholarship and a 64-hour Tuition Freedom Scholarship. Most of our students are shooting for the 64. That 64 is giving them 64 full credit hours towards their degree, which is typically an associate's degree. One thing I will mention with our Tuition Freedom Scholarship, if they are awarded those 64 credit hours, any credits that they took as a CCP student are deducted from that. So if they know what path they want to take our nursing program, we have a pathway designed for those students to help keep them on track so that they are utilizing all of the credits towards that degree. So ultimately, the goal would be that they're not paying out of pocket. And then those are the requirements for eligibility. So for the 64, they would need to complete 8 to 9 credit hours with North Central State College. And they would need to have a minimum of a 2.75 cumulative GPA between their CCP and their high school credits. And then they would just need to apply for the Tuition Freedom Scholarship and then meet the deadline for that. And then they would apply as a traditional student to the college, and they would need to attend the college the semester after their graduation for qualifications for the Tuition Freedom Scholarship. And then this is just a slide of our information, my contact information. Carrie Bash is our director of our CCP, and then myself, Taylor, and Nicholas are CCP advisors and coaches. Again, you'll hear that term interchangeably. Are there any questions?
So in the past,
Nope, go ahead.
So in the past, we've had students do colleges from Cedarville, Bowling Green, Ohio State Mansfield, NC State. So again, your student is a college student at that point, so they're responsible to make sure that they do their application, meet their deadlines. If they're here in our building, we will try to help them as much as we can along that process. If they would take classes on main campus of whatever college they're going to, we need a copy of their schedule. So once they've met with their advisor at the college, we need that copy of that schedule so we can then figure out and make sure your students aren't going over those 30 hours that are allowed by the state with the high school credit and the college credit combined. And then we will buy your books. So we encourage our students not to use the voucher from the college to go buy their books, because we want to be able to know what your student's taking, because sometimes a student will have really big ambition and they'll sign up for all these classes, and then we get like a week to the term starts, and then they're like, oh, I decided not to do it anymore, I dropped it. And then we're like, okay, but if you would have bought those books, then now somebody's got to pay for those. So we don't want you guys to have to pay for those books. So we want to make sure that we know that the student's actually using the books that are provided to our students for those classes. So just make sure we get a copy of your schedule if you're thinking of doing that. If you're thinking of the English here in our building, or the math, or the government, we will definitely walk you through that testing process come spring. And then also, some of our labs do have College Credit Plus classes in them. So if you're a criminal justice student, a homeland security student, precision machining, welding, or engineering design, those classes also offer CCP in their classes. And the rest of the classes do have some college credit that they're called articulation, which is different than the College Credit Plus. So with the College Credit Plus, though, you are earning an actual grade to go on a transcript. So that's kind of a benefit for your student.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, it is always encouraged, and anytime a student's working with me, to plan their courses. They can sometimes be very ambitious. They're like, I'm ready to take 5 credits or 5 courses right now, which is great if that's manageable for them, but I will always ask the student to go back to their high school counselor and make sure that they're communicating with them. These are the courses that they're signing up for, these are the courses that they're registering for, because it's important that that counselor knows, because they are also guiding that student through that process, because they need to make sure that they're staying on track, that they're meeting the eligibility that they need to for high school graduation, athletic eligibility, anything like that as well. So, and then with our Tuition Freedom Scholarship, I just kind of wanted to put into perspective, every institute has different rates for their credits. North Central State Colleges runs about $194, $196 per credit hour. So if we just estimate that to be $200 per credit hour, if students are taking a course, our courses are typically 3 or 4 credit hours. So that's easily $600 per course that a student would end up paying every time that they're taking a course that they are no longer responsible for if they're qualifying for that Tuition Freedom Scholarship. So over the 2 years, maybe it's a $12,000 monetary value that they are no longer responsible for because they qualified for that. And they come out earning their degree. They can then transfer to a 4-year college if they wish to do that, or they have that degree, they can go ahead and enter the workforce right away and not have that responsibility to pay any of like loans back or anything like that that they might have taken out. But I kind of just wanted to touch on this handout briefly for you. It's a great resource for our students. We have QR codes inside here. So if you open up right inside, there's a QR code for any kind of new student that will take them to our website for our enrollment checklist. You'll also see more information on CCP eligibility and what test scores we would be looking at for that. You'll see ACT and AccuPlacer. Students do not have to meet all of those test scores. They need to meet one. So if they've taken the ACT and they have a 22 in reading, but they don't have an 18 or a 22 in the rest, they would still meet CCP eligibility. Along with the AccuPlacer, so that reading score of a 250, most of our students, if they're taking the AccuPlacer, that's the portion that tends to be reachable for them, but absolutely we have a right placer and the algebra, so they don't have to meet all three of those, they just have to meet one for CCP eligibility. There are certain courses that we offer that we would look at test scores, as mentioned before, for English composition and for certain math courses as well. And then if you open it up kind of to the inside, we have, as mentioned before, our CCP pathways. There are QR codes on here as well that will take students to each of those pathways, and those pathways are designed to help students stay on track if they're interested in one of those specific areas so that they're utilizing those credit hours to the fullest for them. I will mention that our nursing pathway is new for our students, and students that are 17 years old are able to be eligible for our LPN program. And then that means that they could come out of high school with their LPN, and then they would go in, if they wanted to pursue their RN, they would have essentially 1 year left of college outside of high school to pursue that. And then we also have our engineering that I'm going to kind of point out to you guys as well. There's a QR code on here for that. We actually have a bachelor's degree that students can pursue if they want to in that program, and there's other scholarships available to students for that program similar to our Tuition Freedom Scholarship, and we have also been accredited to offer a bachelor's in nursing for students as well. And then also all of our contact information is on the back of this as well. I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you guys for coming out. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Or anybody?
Yeah, or anything, yes, yes.
Yes, I have a question. So other colleges were mentioned, so I just wanted to kind of get a better understanding. So is it up to the college whether they accept CCP, or is it, okay, just to kind of...
There's different requirements, like there's a state guideline requirement across the state.
Okay.
Some students choose to go to a private college, so they might have different requirements. So we always tell students to touch base with that college that they're interested in. Or we've had students too, like I have a student right now who knows what college they want to go to after Pioneer. And so they've already started making their CCP connection, doing their classes, staying on that track so they can just stay with that college the whole time. And it's, again, it's up to that student to make sure that they're meeting with that college, and then they bring their schedule back to us. We make sure we're following those guidelines for graduation, not going over those hours, so that that student can take all the advantages of the CCP.
Perfect, thank you.
But you can definitely do that. We've had students take advantage of our English again and then do another college. But we just need to make sure we are communicating. That way we're not going over those state guideline hours. Any other questions? That was a great question. Again, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. I know it's hard sometimes to get out here, but we appreciate it. And we will have hopefully the video on our website in case you want to go back and refer it.